I can go to work and do what I love, and get paid good money for it. Can be at home with the kids if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I can take some time off. You can go to work and do your thing, and, we'll juggle it that way. And it was sort of, we weighed it up, and she weighed it up and decided that, well, we're lucky enough to be able to have her with the kids rather than having to pay a daycare or, ship them off to kindy early and all that sort of stuff. So that's how it's worked out. I've tattooed, and she's been utterly, completely, and amazingly supportive of what I do since we met. And having kids as it's made the life that we've wanted to have possible, and I get to do what I love, to support it.
Shit's about to go down. I'm feeling something in my spirit.
Chats and Tats with Aaron Della Vedova.
Hello, friends, lovers of tattoo art, lovers of art in general, lovers of creativity. Anybody watching this show, I know that's the kind of person you are. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support. Thank you for sharing, liking, and giving me all the comments and DMs. I truly do appreciate it. I couldn't be here without each and every one of you. Welcome back to Chats and Tats with me, your host, Aaron Della Vedova. Today, I am here with a very prolific tattoo artist, all the way from Sydney, Australia. He's the co-owner of Lighthouse Tattoo. He's a 17-year tattoo artist. His style would be Japanese influenced, large scale, big stuff, amazing stuff. This guy rips. So with all that being said, please welcome my guest today. Oh my gosh, I hope I say this right. Your last name is fucking me up, dude.
Just think of the rapper.
Ryan Ussher.
Hey,
it's funny. I was watching some YouTube videos, and some fucker on a YouTube video said Ussher, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's the way I got to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, lots of people think that because it's got double S. But
the double S's throw everybody off.
Yeah.
Ussher.
It's just Ussher.
All right. Ussher. If you guys want to start looking him up right now, it's at Ryan Ussher on Instagram. You can see his work live while you listen. So, yeah, man. I mean, look, you're a badass tattooer. And I'm honored to have you here. But it's this large scale tattooing it's a grind, man. It's a grind. But before we get to that, I also want to tell everybody we are really doing this San Diego style because we are having craft beer on the show today.
It's delicious.
You're drinking something from Harlan Brewing. Our friends over at Harlan were nice enough to bring us some beautiful, I think they call it an IPA. It's like an IPA, but with a bunch of fruity flavors.
It's basically a fruit juice.
Do you like it?
I'm okay with that.
Do you like it?
Absolutely. I'm into weird beer. That's my thing.
All right. And I am drinking something from Tarantula Brewing, their Cali Day IPA, and it's delicious. So if you guys are into beer, check those guys out. They are lovers of Guru, lovers of the show, and they were kind enough to bring us all these beers. We'll get into a couple more here in a bit. But back to my point. I got a lot of questions for you, but let's just start with this large scale tattoo. What is your what's your routine? Like, how many days a week are you tattooing?
So regularly 4 and then irregularly 5. So it's sort of, the ideal pattern is 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. Okay. So week on, week off.
That's heavy. That's a heavy load. That's a lot of tattooing.
It is.
How many hours per session do you do you prefer?
So I sort of, it lands between 6 and 7 usually, but I'm there super early and
that's tattoo time. That's not
tattoo time. 6.5 hours is probably in the skin or drawing on or whatever it is, preparation, all that sort of stuff. But that's normally the customer walks in, starts at 9, walks out around 4:30. And
early start. I like that.
Yeah, I'm up early.
Is the shop open at 9 a.m.?
No, we don't really.
You're in there at 9.
I'm in there at 7:30, 8 in the morning because I live around an hour or so away from the shop. That's with traffic. Without traffic, it's much less. But I get up really early, try to train before work, and then I get in there early. There's only a couple of us that do that. There's a few early birds. And I start early and finish early because I have a family and I don't really see them in the morning. So I sort of choose the afternoon to get home and be with them.
Yeah, I heard training in there.
Yeah, training. Yeah, a little bit of training.
You got a trainer, or you just you do it yourself?
I just go and sort of procrastinate my way around the gym, and sometimes when I train with a friend, there's a bit less procrastination, but yeah, I just go and lift some weights and throw some stuff around.
Smart, because when you tattoo, as long as you've been tattooing at those many days, that many hours, keeping the body together is not easy.
It's
are you together? Do you have pain?
Enough. Yeah, here and there, but nothing too bad. I used to have a bit of back pain, but I don't really get that anymore. I more do it for energy. Training, if I train before work, I'm getting through the day feeling good all day. If I don't, I notice this massive, it's like I've almost got a hangover the whole day. I'm sitting there, I feel really, if I get in there and train before work, do anything, even if it's nothing full on, I can get through the day and feel like I enjoy every bit of it.
Dude, I hear you, man.
Yeah. But it also gets me through the traffic, right? I think if there was no traffic and I lived down the road, I would do less of it. But half the reason is that if I wake up super early, I beat the traffic, I get to work in half an hour, 40 minutes as opposed to an hour and a half.
And then you got some time to kill. So you do your training before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, 15 years ago maybe. So I've been tattooing for 33 years. So let's just call it 15 years in, about where you're at. Actually, more like 17 years, about where you're at.
Yep.
And I lost the ability to straighten my left arm.
Oh, yeah, right.
I had to hold my arm like on my titties, like I was grabbing my own tits all day.
Fuck.
Kind of weird. But yeah, and I think it's just that muscle up behind my ear and the shoulder blade had locked up. And then I would go to a chiropractor and it would be a little better. Then I'd go to the acupuncturist and it kept coming. And then this is God bless this moment. I found yoga.
Oh yeah.
And I feel great, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I do weight training now because I'm 53 years old and you got to keep that muscle mass or that's not good for you.
Yeah.
So I mix it with the yoga. But that yoga, man, for those tattooers out there that are cranking at this level, I would fitness on some level or you ain't going to make it, man. You're going to have a health crisis. And then how much time do you lose at work when you can't get in there and do what you're supposed to do?
Absolutely. But yoga's definitely on the wish list. I did that actually for a little while. I did some yoga and it was amazing, but I just couldn't keep up the yoga and the training and the work and I feel like yoga's the thing that I need to add to the list rather than
just break it up. If you're working out 5 days a week, this is kind of my routine. 2 of those are weightlifting, sometimes 3, and the other 2 are the yoga.
Well, yeah, I mean that'd be ideal. But see, I'm generally yo-yoing between fat and not so fat, so I always feel like the yoga.
Fat. You look great.
Well, yeah, okay. Look, I'm not.
You're
not
in a non-fat phase right now.
I'd probably, yeah. I just yo-yo, but I mean, and that kind of, depends on how much. Well, I eat basically, and I love food, but I feel as though if I stop the training and go back to the yoga, I mean, I could be wrong. If I do it correctly, I'm probably doing the right thing nonstop.
Well, how old are you?
42.
You're 42.
Yeah.
You'll do the yoga when you need
this
it.
doesn't help either. But yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, but everything in moderation. You get a couple beers once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while. Yeah.
But on that note, because we're talking about we're going through the health stuff. You're a guy who works heavy. I mean, that's hard. That's as hard as it gets for tattooers. That kind of a schedule. Yeah. We've heard about you doing fitness. You're not just not doing nothing.
No.
Let's get into more diet. What are you doing for that? Do you have any routines? Do you have anything at all, or just?
Oh, look, I think my rule of thumb, I kind of go through different phases of doing and trying different things. My most recent one, I gave keto a crack. That was all right. In fact, I found that quite easy because you can eat a lot of good shit doing keto. But then you have a party on the weekend or a dinner or something you go out to, you drop the ball, you drink some wine, you do this and that. It's sort of unsustainable, I guess, in a lot of ways for me. My rule of thumb is generally, I generally fast daily, do the 16/8 fast thing, and not so much because I'm thinking consciously of my health. It's more just because I find it easy and it can be beneficial. Or I think it is for me. Drink a few espressos, like black coffees in the morning, do some training, don't eat till lunchtime. Finish eating around dinner time and,
I agree. When I don't eat, I prefer not to eat until I'm done tattooing.
Yeah.
But the thing that's fucked me up now is the trainer's like, you need to be doing 200 grams of protein a day.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
like, and so I, for the first time ever, I'm eating like eggs in the morning and things like this because it's so hard to get 200 grams of protein a day. But when I don't eat, man, I feel so much more sharp.
Yeah.
My energy's so much higher. Coffee, maybe some almonds or something small, but then get home and that's how I would love to do it that way. But I'll never get the 200 grams of protein a day.
That's a lot.
Well, and I don't know if that's what
is the most. I don't know.
Well, they say it's your body weight.
Oh, okay.
And I'm actually 190, but so let's just call it, it's a little less than your body weight. So 200 is a goal, but if I could get to 160, that's a lot of chicken and meat, man. You got to really try for those numbers.
Well, that's the thing too with fasting. I feel like, for me, I'm so regimented in my time schedule of, what time I'm awake, what time I'm here, what time I get to work, what time I set up. Everything has almost to the minute. If I added eating breakfast, it would fuck my time up. And then,
you don't got time for that. You got a schedule to it here, dude. No time for breakfast.
That's right.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to highlight the point that you got to pay attention to that. I've had these shops for 21 years, and I've seen too many tattooers who ignored that part because they were young, and when you're young, you're stronger. And next thing you know, they got all these problems, and I'm like, that you got to take care of your body for this job. This job's physical, man.
Absolutely.
Physical.
Absolutely.
Well, that's cool. Let's get into a little bit of your history. So, 17 years ago, what was your first tattoo?
I got a black flag symbol on my
classic
on my right arm, about this, what you would say, an inch, about an inch wide.
It's a little black
$40.
flag.
Yeah, I had $40 when I was 15 years old, and there was a tattoo shop in a place called Manly. And there was a guy there who I think at the time he was dying of cancer, or so that was the rumor of this guy. I was already in my head, I'm going to do tattoos for a living. This is my thing. But I sort of hadn't figured out the means how or done much research. It was just I want to do that. Anyway, we're at the front of a tattoo shop and we'd been drinking and doing dumb underage shit. And I had $40 and I went into the guy and asked him if he could do this black flag. I was wearing a black flag t-shirt. Can you do this symbol on me? I've only got $40. I said, yep, sit down, did it. That was it.
On your arm?
On my arm, yeah.
Like right here on your shoulder?
Right there. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
And that was it. That broke the seal. Obviously, I mean, you're completely covered now.
Yes. That's been covered and lasered and covered again. Yeah. Since several times.
A couple different rodeos with that one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, good. So you've gotten laser.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a fair share of laser too.
Both arms. Both arms, just the black, one hit on.
Oh, you've had a lot of laser.
Yeah.
How you like doing that?
I don't. No one likes that.
Fucking hate that shit.
Way worse. Way worse than anything.
It gets what you need and it's worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, look. Yeah. If you've got a tattoo, like it's always, when people come to me and they've got stuff that they want to do and they can't do it for whatever reason, I always think it's such a better way to go rather than just blasting over it and getting something slightly better, waiting the time out to get something kick-ass. So it's always worth it.
100%, man. I mean, most tattooers will tell. Not everyone does it, but getting rid, like taking your skin right back to the way it looked before you were tattooed. Yeah. That's a journey.
Absolutely.
And it's sometimes it's not even possible.
Yeah.
But lightening a tattoo, you don't need too much. And then the tattooer can come in and just almost do anything at that point.
Yeah. I always say to people, as you would have as well, you want to get this? Well, you could do that. But if you lighten it up, you could do it 10 times better. And the possibilities just open up. It's like a book that just gets bigger and bigger. And yeah, I think it's
one of my old bosses, when I was a young tattooer, had of course, the whole shop was all covered in flash. He had a cover-up section. And it was black squares, triangles, rectangles. It was just black shapes.
Yeah, right. That's great.
He was serious, too. He'd be like, I don't know what to do. He'd be like, oh, that's no problem. Come on over here. We have a whole section.
He'd do well. Do well now.
The square. I think, you should go with the square.
Yeah. That's very modern. That's very in now, I think, that style.
It's funny you say it, right? Because everyone's doing
do
blacking out arms.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo over at the Pacific Beach location. She's got a whole blackout done. Or she already blacked out her arm. And then one of my tattooers did finger waves on top of the black.
Yeah.
Dude, it looks so cool.
In black?
I think because the blackout had been older.
Yeah.
So he just took new black.
Really good.
And dude, it looks it has a look to it.
Yeah, totally.
And I know there's so many people out there with blacked out stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is the next move.
Yeah.
We're gonna see, because if you get used to your shit, you're like, I loved my original tattoos. Then I wanted to cover everything up. So then I got a blackout. Been a few years. I'm bored. Now it's going to be just going over those blackout sleeves. I mean, you can kind of do anything. And
Totally.
it's just, it's not probably going to have color, but it looked really cool, man.
Yeah, it can look cool. I think, yeah.
You ever done a blackout?
Never.
It's funny though, because my old boss was joking, and here we are. I remember when I first saw the first blackout arm.
Yeah.
And don't judge me, everybody, but I was just like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? A black arm? It's so silly.
Yeah.
And then I got more used to it. And then people started putting maybe a little shape where it would cut into the hand.
Yeah.
Then I started getting like, my mind started opening up to this avant-garde idea of tattooing. Like, because as an illustrator, I guess part of me was just like, well, it has to be a fucking drawing.
Yeah.
A tattoo is a drawing of something. That's just black ink. That's stupid.
Totally.
And then the shapes started coming in, and I think it's dope. We've had a couple tattooers move through here that do that work. I think it's super cool, especially if they leave a little blank skin from the bottom to the top, or
I think there's a place for it for sure. I think for a while I was considering doing it with one or both of my arms when I started getting laser, and I thought, this is way too painful. I'm going to just black them out. And I thought, or I had a chat to someone, and they were like, man, just do the fucking laser. Get a better tattoo. And I get the blackout thing, and I think now people are doing it really well.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to do it really well. I wouldn't be as opposed to it as I felt at one stage.
Yeah.
I sort of wanted it, and I was talked out of it. And then I went down the road of like, no, I'm so glad I didn't do that. I would never do that. And it's creeping back into my head. Not that I would or need to do it, but there's people doing good versions of it.
There is. I mean, I use the word avant-garde tattooing, but really there's just so much interesting stuff that we as more, well, I'm more of a neo-trad guy, I guess, and we're going to call you a classical guy or a traditional maybe aesthetic, and they're just doing shapes and splatters and and it's cool, man. It's very cool.
Got to be, especially the splatter stuff and all this. There's a guy who is in Australia. His Instagram is Pesty, Peste. His stuff is wild. He does a lot of blackout kind of stuff, or blackout, but he does splattering shapes and these sort of, he does a lot of movement in these sort of almost ripples, and then sort of they kind of get different shapes, and he does it in this way. It's so well planned out. You look at it and go, there's a lot of people who do black work, and you sort of think, I can figure out how you would do that. And then there's other people you look at and you go, I can't even begin to understand how I would start to do that, because it's so well done. And it's those sorts of things that blow my mind within that realm of tattooing. There's lots of people that do that.
To me, it's just cool to see it, tattooing, the art of tattooing, just breaking all the rules.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the thing about being a tattooer. I don't know about, I think you would be included. I've heard a little bit of your history and falling in love with the punk rock scene and just the rebellious nature of the art form.
Yeah.
And that was always weird to me when I got into tattooing, because I got in for the same reason. I was a young punk rock kid. I'm like, look at all these people over here. They don't give a fuck. Break all the rules.
Yeah.
Then I became a tattooer. Now this is 33 years ago. And suddenly there was all these rules.
Yeah.
And all this judgment. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't we the don't give a fuck people?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we do give a fuck. That's shit and that's this. And I'm like, and we all wear Dickies pants and Converse and Vans. I'm like, oh my God, this is, I was in the military. I'm like, this is more militant than the fucking military.
Totally.
How about we just let everyone do whatever the fuck they want? Hey, if that customer is stoked, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
If they love it, that's great. I mean, now, caveat, there are bad tattoos.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. And there's bad ideas that people try. And that's, I wouldn't even say that's uncool, because sometimes someone's got to try the bad idea to kind of learn what doesn't work and then improve. So, there's room for that experimentation. But yeah, to be in an industry that was supposed to be so rebellious, that was so not rebellious, was a little shocking to me.
I think the angle for me was more that I just saw punks with tattoos. There was a moment when I was a little kid and I was with my parents somewhere, and there were this group of punks drinking, and just being obnoxious. They had mohawks,
Having a
and
lot
leather
of fun.
jackets.
They were having a lot of fun.
Totally. But they just looked naughty. And I was like, I want to be in that club. I want to be the naughty guy, you know. That was my first introduction to seeing tattoos and actually kind of just loving everything about it.
Yeah, identifying with the vibration, I would call it, you know, of the art form, the rebellious nature. Now, that's a kind of an interesting subject because have we lost that?
Wow. The rebellious nature of it all?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, where I live, like so many people are heavily tattooed that it doesn't feel so naughty anymore.
Yeah, here is,
it's not like that where you're at?
Yeah, look, there are certain parts of Sydney that definitely are. I wouldn't say to the extent that it is here. There's something about, especially San Diego, I find you feel like you're immersed in sort of just fringe culture. Like people are tattooed. There's 50, 60-year-old dudes getting down the street with almost bodysuits, you know, and on skateboards and just, you know, they look like the old guys that are not the 50 or 60 or whatever is old, but
yeah, be careful. I'm 50.
Yeah. Well, I'm approaching, but you know, people look like they just don't want to grow up, and you don't get much of that at home, I guess, or at least not where I live. And where I live,
you're not talking Sydney. You're talking where you live.
Sydney. So Sydney is, similar to say San Diego. It's split up into a bunch of suburbs. So I live in a part of Sydney where there's not many people covered in tattoos, and I'm definitely stand out of the crowd in the suburb I live in and the area. There are people with a lot of tattoos, but they're few and far between. When you get into the city and places like there's a place called Newtown and, you know, the inner west of Sydney, where I guess most of the live music happens and all that stuff, that's where you see much more of the kind of fringe culture and, you know, people with tattoos and punks and, you know, people that are into, I guess, different subcultures of music. The Northern Beaches is like rich people, surfers, and people who want to just retire, basically.
We have a similar life because I, you know, here I am in San Diego, but I live in a little beach town called Carlsbad. And it's kind of the same. It's almost the same drive with traffic, 45 minutes. Yeah. And I go to and from. And then up in Carlsbad, I like it because I still have an edge up there. I'm a little naughty to those people. You know, I go to my daughter's school functions. And they're cool, but they're definitely like, what's this guy all about? You know,
that's where I am. Yeah. There's a couple of other dads who have some pretty terrible tattoos, and I hear through the grapevine that someone sort of saw me and, that's the dad with all the tattoos, and you know, like I'm their immediate friend because I've got tattoos too, and you know, it's you're rare, you know.
Right.
I'm a rarity up there, and so I become the friend with all the guys with the tattoos because, not personally, but anyway, they see me as an equal, I guess.
Yeah,
because there's not many.
There is something about being tattooed.
Yeah.
You are kind of automatically part of a club, and other people that maybe not somebody who has a tattoo, their grandmother's name on their wrist. I don't know if they don't welcome you into them intimately as fast, but anywhere else, heavily tattooed people, it's kind of an auto, like you're already okay with me unless you fuck this up.
Totally. Yeah. There is definitely. And especially in areas where it isn't a norm, you know. When you're in an area it isn't a norm, you see someone else covered in tattoos, it's immediately like, how you going, mate?
Yeah.
We're a similar breed, you know.
My glass is empty. That's bothering me.
Just about. Yeah.
Why don't you finish that? Okay. Let's choose two more new beers. I went with the Tarantula Brewing, their IPA, their Cali Day IPA.
Well, let's swap brands.
Yeah, here, you take those.
Okay.
And I'll take these. So I'm on the Harlan Brewing now. And what am I going to do here? Ooh, Nelson IPAs. I always end up liking these. All right. I'm going to tell the audience. I'm going with the Harlan Brewing Manu Bay. Where's that? Nelson IPA. Here we go.
All right. I'm going to
see if I can get this on the microphone.
Just because it's...
you hear that?
That's psst.
Everyone out there just smiled a little bit. Admit it.
I'm going the Liquid Candy Hazy India Pale Ale from Tarantula.
Wow.
That sounds
Liquid candy.
sounds like me. Liquid
And it
candy.
should be noted that Ryan used to have a show where he drank and reviewed
It
craft.
shouldn't be noted, really. You can be noted. Yeah.
I mean, so you're not just a casual drinker. You like to experiment with the different
Yeah,
beers.
look, I think COVID started all that for me. As soon as
Drinking.
well, yeah, no, that didn't start it, but
increased it.
yeah, it increased it. Well, it became another hobby to buy the weirdest, craziest beers I could find, well, and drink them. But I think what happened was my wife's family, who are also into craft beer, we'd planned a trip up there, and for whatever reason, we couldn't make it up. I think there was a COVID lockdown in my area, and I'd gone and bought all these beers, and they asked me to tell them what they were like, because I sort of sent them a photo and said, this is what I'm bringing the mothership, here we go. And they said, oh, you got to tell us what they're all like. And I think I made a video for them reviewing, just being stupid. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do this for fun because I've got nothing else to do. It's COVID and I'm at home and I've got a whole heap of beer. And so I started reviewing the beers, and I'd have my little, at the time, I think she was 4-year-old daughter next to me, and she'd drink a kombucha and we'd sort of talk, and she'd say stuff to the camera and she'd steal the show. Everyone loved her. It didn't get such a big following, but it then I became a slave to having to make a review every time I drank a beer. And so I stopped it because eventually I was like, I almost couldn't open a beer without going, oh, I've got to make a video. And it became this sort of this.
Well, here
this
we go
vicious
again,
cycle.
my friend.
Here we go again.
You're on video.
Okay.
And you're about to have a new beer.
Let's go.
And I'm going to do mine next.
Okay.
Give that a little swirl, and you
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
me what you think about that one. I mean, it's got a
some,
very interesting name.
Hoppy notes to it.
Okay. Liquid candy.
Little sharp but sweet, kind of bitter. Telling of a couple of, there we go. It's got Mosaic, Citra, and Moteca. I know nothing about any of those, but they sound cool. I have had beers with them in there before. And it's delicious. Drink it, get hammered, and go drive your car. No, don't do that.
He was kidding.
I was kidding. It's not. Don't do that.
Well, that's, if you have a
yeah.
Tesla, it'll take you home. All right, I'm going to go for mine next. The Manu Bay from Harlan Brewing, the Nelson IPA. Nelson's the hops, right?
I couldn't
Nelson
tell you.
hops, I believe that's the...
I know it's a town in New Zealand.
Okay, now that's the kind I like. I knew I would like this one. Sharp, bitter, but I'm not the hazy guy. Yours is a little creamy looking.
Yeah,
Mine's
yeah.
like clear.
It looks crisp.
It is.
Yeah,
It's got a
okay.
crispness to it.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Good.
Quite good. And this is, it's Freestyle Nelson with Savin and Wame.
Never heard
Wamea.
of those.
Do
Oh,
not
yeah.
know. Obviously, people, we are not, we're not beer sommeliers. We're just doing our best over here. All right. Well,
we can
that's-
drink them. That's,
that's
good of that. That's chunks in there.
Oh, is that
Wow.
supposed to happen?
Probably, but
Everybody,
maybe
some chunks of stuff just came out of the
liquid
bottom
candy.
of that can.
But look, maybe I was meant to roll it first.
oh my
Sometimes
God,
you
look at
gotta
all
do
that stuff in there.
Yeah. That's good for you. Hair on your chest, curls in your hair.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. You know?
Cheers. Cheers.
Yeah,
One
cheers,
more
mate.
toast.
Cheers.
Boom.
You.
I needed these beers. I just got back from Austin, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Let me just show everybody my shirt here, where I tattooed Brian Redband.
That is a cool shirt.
It's one of his shirts. This says Death Squad
Cool.
in Japanese or something. But yeah, I was out there to tattoo Brian Redband. He's a comedian. He is part of this show called the Kill Tony Show with Tony Hinchcliffe.
Oh, I've heard of Kill Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's a great show.
Yeah.
I think every Monday on YouTube, you can watch it live. They let young comedians come out and they give them 1 minute to prove themselves. And
Yeah, right.
if they do well, they'll give them some sweet high fives. And if they don't, they'll
Yeah, okay.
just fucking shred you.
Oh wow. Okay. So
Dude, some guy-
yeah, I've seen it. I think actually they just roast the shit out of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy, that part was hard for me. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
This guy got shredded. One of the guys got shredded so hard. I
But
thought
they
he was
know
going to
that
cry.
going in, right? They
They know
ready.
that can happen.
Yeah.
But this guy, I thought he thought,
he was
that-
going to do good.
oh yeah, I think it
Yeah,
happened
right.
to him, and it
Yeah.
happened bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, and people are watching this show right now, like his whole family and everyone. It's pretty hardcore. But anyway, my point is, 3 days in Austin, going to comedy shows, and at the mothership, got to hang out with Joe Rogan, which was sweet. Thank you, Joe, for VIPing the whole thing. But a lot of late night drinking. So I really needed this because I'm a little shaky today. I'm coming off. I just got back last night.
Hair of the dog.
Yes.
Yeah. How far's the trip from here to there?
It's not bad. It's 2.5 hours. Yeah, not too. Have you been to Austin?
Never. No, I've actually in the States. I've been to New York for 2 days on my way through to Toronto from the UK one time. Apart from that, I've only been to the West Coast, Seattle.
Isn't that
LA.
The quickest place to get to from Australia? The West Coast of America. If you're coming to America,
well,
that's
America,
yeah.
LA, it's 14 hours direct flight.
So to go to the East Coast, you got another, whatever.
It's
Well, I would highly recommend Austin. Great tattoo scene down there.
Yeah.
Great music scene. Great comedy scene. That place is on fire.
Yeah.
Very cool town.
There's a lot of places in the States I need to get to and haven't been. Texas is one of them, definitely.
Wow, I won't get into it, but that trip is I haven't been to Australia.
Yeah,
and
right.
I internationally travel quite a bit. We always end up in Europe usually.
It's the furthest place.
It's the furthest, man. Hey, I'm going next year because once I get out to Australia, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, do it.
Because we're coming down. And I really want to do the Philippines. I want to do Vietnam. I want to do Cambodia. Once you're over there.
Yeah, you may as well go the whole way.
Get all that shit. Get Japan.
Yeah.
So you're in Australia, Sydney. So how far of a flight is it for you to get Japan?
I think it's 11 hours.
Oh my,
think 11.
My stupid head. I'm like, they probably do that in like a 4-hour flight.
Nah.
It's still a hell of a
long
flight.
I think New Zealand's pretty close. That's and I'm talking from Sydney. New Zealand from Sydney is, I think it's 2.5, 3 hours. Maybe it's 3.5. That's pretty close. And then you go to like Bali. I think that's 8 or 9.
Japan's
Japan's
about
about 11.
there.
Yeah, Bali's quite nice. Bali's a bit of it's beautiful. I've been once. I've been to Thailand a few times. Thailand, I feel, is a bit more, you can immerse yourself a bit more in the culture of the place. And you can go to places that are kind of, and you can in Bali as well. You can go to places that are a little less full on. Bali is a bit like, the places you really want to go to tend to be packed with people. And yeah, there is beautiful spots in Bali. Don't get me wrong; it's a beautiful place to go. But for us, it's like a cheaper resort holiday place where the scenery is different, nice.
Interesting.
Whereas Thailand's a bit more like it's a bit more about the food and the scenery and the travel and the culture. Bali's pretty westernized and pretty
So in Australia, like for us, we get the craving for a little tropical getaway. For us, it's Hawaii, or Cabo, Costa Rica. French Polynesia is not too bad.
Yeah,
it's almost a little longer than Hawaii. So those are our West Coast.
Sure.
When you need that, it's Thailand.
Oh no! I mean Australia. You can go places in Australia. I mean, it's not...
I meant when you leave your continent.
Yeah, no. For me personally, since having kids, we haven't done a pile of travel, and the travel we have done. This is actually my youngest daughter's first overseas trip.
You brought the family?
Yeah.
You're here with the wife and kids?
Yeah.
You're
6 weeks.
Brave, dude.
Away.
Let me go back here. 8 and 4.
8 and
2
4.
girls.
2 girls.
Man, you got balls. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I travel a lot for work. They rarely get to come. And especially my wife, she rarely gets to come. And because, we've obviously got kids, someone's got to be there. And I go away and I tattoo in different places and do conventions. And, she pulls at least 50% of the share, if not more, being mum to the kids, It's pretty cool to be able to finally take them all on a trip and do something together.
It's super cool. I was kind of joking, but yeah, I mean, I'm just saying when you travel that far with
it is
kids,
brave. Absolutely, yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It got me thinking. I'm on tangents now, but how long you been married?
We got married during COVID too, sort of purposely. But what is it? 2020. We were married in November.
I should have said how long you've been with her.
With her 9, almost 10 years.
Okay, and you have an 8-year-old, so you guys got together, boom, had a baby right away.
3 months she was pregnant. Yep, and then we had a baby.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So the thing is, you are a very passionate artist.
Yeah,
and that lifestyle is how do I say this? I don't know. a bit volatile.
Yeah.
I know I've been through my struggle. I know my wife has been through struggles married to a man. Like nowadays, after 33 years, I'm able to not hit it as hard as I used to.
Yeah,
but it was really challenging for us. And I've been with her for 25 years. How is that for you guys? What is does she have a job?
No, she's mum. She was a hairdresser when I met her, so that's her sort of trade. And then she was pregnant pretty quick, and so she did that.
She's momming it up.
She's mumming it up.
And you're working it up.
I'm working. When we met, she was hairdressing. When she stopped hairdressing to become mum, the idea was that, you know, she'd had enough of that anyway. And so it was sort of like by the time she was able to kind of go back to work if she wanted to, we kind of weighed up. I was sort of like, well, I love my job. If you need to go back to work for your, you know, just to have independence, because I know, you know, being stuck with a kid at home all day is its own battle. You know, I was absolutely supportive of that, but monetarily and financially, it was sort of like I can go to work and do what I love, and get paid good money for it. Can be at home with the kids if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I can take some time off. You can go to work and do your thing, and, you know, we'll juggle it that way. And it was sort of, we weighed it up, and she weighed it up and decided that, well, you know, we're lucky enough to be able to have her with the kids rather than having to pay a daycare or, you know, ship them off to kindy early and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, that's how it's worked out. I've tattooed, and she's been utterly, completely, and amazingly supportive of what I do since we met. And having kids as you know, it's made the life that we've wanted to have possible, and I get to do what I love, you know, to support it.
No, that's symbiotic, and that works.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a date night?
Yeah.
Usually,
absolutely.
like what? What's your routine?
Oh, we don't have a routine at all.
But what are you averaging? Once a week? Once a month?
Once a month would be an average. Sometimes it goes longer. Sometimes it's less.
I think you should increase that.
We should.
I think more date nights.
Absolutely.
But you know what's crazy is there are people with like how long you've been together with that age kids?
Yeah.
They've had 2.
Yeah.
In 8 years.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, hey, look, whatever, man. If you can make it work.
Yeah.
But for me and my wife, I mean, we average one. When the kids were younger and the businesses were younger and all that, our average was probably still once a week. And now we're probably rocking 2 a week on average.
Yeah,
and
sick.
I mean, for us, that, I don't know. I think about that a lot because let's face it, staying in love, staying romantically interested in your partner and running businesses and having the kids. I mean, a lot of people, it doesn't work out. It's too much and it breaks down.
Totally.
And I guess everybody needs their rhythm. A lot of people, maybe they don't need the date night. Maybe their thing is just hanging at home or whatever with the kids or going to soccer games every fucking weekend, you know, and all this.
Yeah.
And I never was that kind of, we were never those kind of parents, although we did support our oldest in the dance career. So we've done our share. But I just always get curious when I meet another married guy who's basically got on his plate what I've had on my plate my whole life, what the routines are like and how you make it work.
Yeah, I think one thing that worked utterly in our advantage, just by luck, is that we met. She was pregnant within 3 months. I've only known her as either pregnant or a mum. And so pretty much. And so we kind of experienced the honeymoon period during pregnancy and then had a kid, and we sort of we still enjoy each other's company no matter what we're doing. It's not, you know, like a weekend comes around and I'm not craving to go out with the boys and do this and that. I'm like, you know, I look forward to hanging out with her still. And I think that it worked in our advantage, everything happening so fast. And while there were times where we were like, are we going to make it as a couple? I think we definitely did. And the fire was still there just throughout the whole period because we're still getting to know each other through the whole thing. And then once we'd sort of gotten to know each other, we had a baby, and then we had to get to know each other as parents and how we're going to figure that out. And it sort of kept everything super interesting. And, you know, I don't know, I feel like that was kind of probably the glue that kept it together, was sort of the interest of each other while we were both changing as people and maturing as parents, you know?
It's kind of like two soldiers in at war.
Absolutely.
There's a deep bond created because both people know, like, we got to get this done.
Totally.
And it's not easy.
Oh, and there was so much, we when we got together, we were both in some kind of debt, and, we had to basically get together and go, we've got to fucking sort this out and get into a position where we can just wipe that and make it work. And we managed to do it. And I think, that definitely brought us closer, and, we've had our struggles, but we're still stoked to be together,
Fuck yeah, buddy.
to hang out.
I want to toast to that.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to that. One of the hardest things you'll ever do in this world. Falling in love, building a family, still somehow managing a career.
Yeah.
I call it the Navy SEAL training camp of enlightenment.
Yeah.
People are like, you think I should have kids? And I go, well, it depends. Do you really want to develop character?
Yeah.
Find out what you're made of, find your flaw. You want to improve. You want to go through all that? Then
Absolutely.
you for sure should do it.
For sure.
And if you're looking to have a good time, which is fine, but really just experience the fruits of planet Earth and dance around, then do not.
No. No. Well, and also, when we found out about my eldest daughter, everything changed. This whole trajectory of betterment happened in a way, and it wasn't like okay, I've got to suddenly do all this stuff now. But I mean, it probably was subconsciously, but everything improved. My bookings got, better. My work got better. I, bought into Lighthouse. All this stuff about my life.
You started playing the game hard.
Absolutely.
Because you look at this little baby, you're like, oh my God.
But I didn't even do that in a kind of tangible
it's
sense.
a DNA thing, man.
Yeah.
When you have kids, this other part of your DNA activates, and suddenly you are just focused and doing the things you need to be doing. Your health, your exercise, when you get up in the morning, and becoming part of a business, all the things. It does do that, and it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Best thing ever done.
Well, so you're on a little U.S. family tour.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's been a while in the making. It was actually, we planned it pre-COVID, and then COVID wrecked it. And we were going to do it with, it would have been our 4-year-old and a 2-month-old at the time. But then, COVID destroyed it.
You mentioned COVID. So, and this, I have no idea because I wasn't there. But the media I was receiving during COVID of Australia, and I don't trust any media, to be honest. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's real or not real anymore. But it was a little insane.
Yeah,
they showed, I saw videos of people, I think they were taking them to camps.
No.
That did not happen.
Oh, look. Not that I'm aware of camps.
I mean, you were there, you're
but there were various
places you got to go to this facility until you don't have it anymore, and they had armed guards walking around, and you couldn't leave.
No armed guards. There wasn't any of that. I've heard this from several. I won't name podcasts that I've heard this from, where people are like, "Oh, you seen that stuff in Australia?" And all these, people with machine guns and walking around and that never happened, or not
to your knowledge.
To my knowledge,
right?
That never happened. I think there might have been certain places that people had to isolate in when they came back from overseas, and they were looking for, because they basically had this rule: if you came back from overseas and you're on a flight, you had to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks. Originally, they were footing the bill, and then it got to a point where they were like, okay, well, if you're going to come in, you need to foot the bill. And I think at one point, the hotels were so full that they had to put them in it might have been like an army barracks style facility because the hotels were full, but it wasn't a mandatory, everyone with COVID's getting shipped over here and you're going to this concentration camp.
I love that we talked about this, because I feel like today, the only way to really get to the truth of something is to sit like this and ask somebody.
Man. Yeah.
Because I swear to God, and the algorithm probably knew I was very suspicious of the entire thing.
Yeah, right.
So it was feed me out oh, he would love seeing this video. And I was lighting up on the other end oh my God, this is some bullshit.
Yeah. There was a few there was a couple of places like in Melbourne. There were a few towers of people that I had to isolate because they had outbreaks of COVID. There was shit that was happening that probably shouldn't have been happening.
Well, that's everywhere during that time.
But it wasn't to the extent the media made out, or at least the media here made out, or whatever. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people from the US well, I've had a lot of people in the US ask similar questions.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as insane as that, or especially to my knowledge.
All right. Well, there we go. It's settled.
Yeah.
I always wanted to ask a real, and by the way, you're not just an Australian, you're a tattooer. And I know us, tattooers, we have our fingers out there in the eddies. We get the dirty information. If it's going down, somebody would have probably told you. That's how I get my news, people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well,
I call
you
a
talk to a lot of
tattooer.
people, lots of different people, lots of walks of life.
That's how you really
plenty
get
of
the
information.
truth, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you can't believe anything coming out of these phones
way.
anymore, dude. It's getting wild. Let's switch gears here a little bit.
All right.
So how about you give me your take? Tattooing's past, present, and future. Go.
That's
You don't have to go
loaded
deep.
question.
Just,
okay.
But
But in what context? Mine or in...
just your viewpoint of that.
Okay. Well, I can only really articulate my experience of what I've seen and done and experienced.
That's what I want.
Okay.
I want your
So,
perspective.
My perspective. I entered the tattoo industry. Well, my first experience of the tattoo industry, I was in high school. And so I was doing work experience in a shop. Long story short, I was at a high school that had a sort of work experience program. You had to select a place to work one day a week in your desired industry. It was meant to be, for me, I was meant to be hospitality. And I said, I'm not going to work in that. I want to be a tattooer. That's, where I want to be. And I had to get my parents to write a letter. So I went and did one day a week in a tattoo shop, a shop that let me do that somehow. I don't know how that happened. And I was making needles and stencils and doing all this sort of stuff.
Ew, fucking with the flux.
Yeah. So that was the very beginning of my introduction to any kind of tattooing situation. So then in Australia, that was massive gang culture, like biker run shops.
I always heard that about that. I did hear, and you're confirming it, that the biker gangs really controlled the industry there.
There was a time, yeah. I mean, not anymore as well. I mean, to the most extent, it's not really happening anymore. But yeah, when I started to, or when I even got into the industry, that was huge. That was all it was. So while there were people making art and that were good at it and people who wanted to be good at it, I think it was more of a kind of like, you do pretty good drawings, be the tattoo artist. And, the gangs were just sort of laundering money, and that was the front. But my experience at the time, it was just this taboo, intimidating place to be. And there was I was drawn to the idea of that a bit. It was sort of like naughty. So yeah, that was pre-social media, pre all that sort of stuff. I then went traveling, came back to it. And when I came back to it, it was still, no social media, no anything. I think there might have been MySpace, perhaps. And then, yeah, I've eventually got a spot in a shop as a counterhand, still pre-social media, pre all that sort of stuff. So it was magazines. That was the only sort of way you could get any kind of inspiration. And then during my career, or right at the start of it, that's when Miami Ink kind of blew up, that whole thing.
The tipping point.
That was the tipping point. That changed everything. That, even in Australia, it was like this immediate acceptance of tattoos. They became
out of the shadows we came.
Absolutely. And
hey, fuck yeah. I mean, I think that was a good thing.
Well, totally. And there was a boom, and we all rode it and probably still are.
Yeah, the Renaissance period.
Totally. And I feel pretty stoked to have lived through
all three phases.
Yeah, all those phases.
Right. The shadows.
Yeah.
Coming into the light.
Yeah.
I think I agree with everything you're saying. I went through these same phases, and it's beautiful. It's cool to have touched each one.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel, and I didn't get a huge grasp on the before times, but
I got a little more of that one.
Yeah. But
a lot more.
Totally. I got enough to sort of appreciate it and to feel lucky to have been part of it prior to transitioning to a point where I think people come in and specialize off the bat in some sort of style because, you've got access to everything on the internet and Instagram, and you can look at one thing and specialize in that because it's all you're going to practice and all you're going to learn. But I feel happy that I entered the industry and had to try to be good at everything and wasn't...
Yeah.
When I started tattooing, Japanese was it was a thing. There wasn't an idea in my head that that's where I wanted to go. It was just, that's part of tattooing. I want to do whatever I think is good, and whatever I thought was good was whatever I saw in the magazines that were like, wow, this guy's doing insane realism. Imagine doing that. I'm going to have a crack at it. Oh, I fucked that up. And, move on to the next thing. But the whole way through that was an exciting thing. It was exciting to get a magazine and go, I wonder what I'm going to see, not just open Instagram and go, I know exactly what I'm going to see. I can just look for it. And that felt pretty exciting. The future of tattooing, I don't know, man.
I love your face right now. It's the face I'm making too.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're all making, but the future of the world.
Well, yeah,
it's getting so weird, man.
Yeah.
Good. I think it's going to be all right, but I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm just going to mention, there's a lot of AI shit happening.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Future of tattooing.
AI is obviously going to start playing. The introduction of an iPad, Procreate, all that sort of stuff, that changed the game.
Yeah, but just to interject, I love my iPad. You draw on an iPad?
Absolutely. That's all I draw on.
What's the difference between drawing on an iPad and drawing on paper? I mean, I know there's some nuances.
Yeah.
We're still doing what we used to do.
Absolutely.
It just made it quicker, more efficient.
Look, when I say the iPad introduction, I don't really mean that the iPad changed everything. For you and I, you're drawing something. I draw the way I used to draw on paper. I have a pencil sketcher. I refine it. And I do a final outline, and that's sort of the drawing.
Same.
When I paint, I still draw on the iPad. I would draw on paper. The iPad's far more convenient. I've got a tiny house. It's easier for me to sit on the couch and draw than it is to pull all my papers out and reference and all this sort of stuff. So, I do the same thing when I do a painting. Pencil sketch, final sketch, print it out, light box, pencil sketch, and then brush, and that goes that way. Tattooing, obviously, make a stencil, make the tattoo. But things like realism, the way that Procreate changed the game for realism. I mean, I guess Photoshop would have done the same thing, but I feel like having an iPad and everything at your fingertips and dragging and dropping and doing all this sort of stuff, there was a change. There was a change in the way people did realism, and it got crazy good.
Agreed.
Into the future, maybe we're going to start doing 6-fingered, skeletons because everyone's using AI for reference. I don't know. But there's definitely going to be some form of AI interjection, I think, into the industry.
There already is.
Well, yeah.
Already.
But beyond, I think maybe beyond just the reference point or the, artistic side of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Good synopsis. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I love it. And again, it's all good, man. I really don't think
AI can fuck off.
Okay, there. Oh, we got it out of him.
Oh well, look, it's not. I get that there is you could use it to your advantage in ways. And look, I've typed in shit and I've come out with some stuff like I did some typing on what is that thing? Discord, the Mid-Journey.
Mid-Journey, yeah.
So I typed in some explanations of scenes with reapers and medieval carved out of marble and all this sort of stuff, and the shit it came out with was mind-blowingly good in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I would and could. The fact that is available pisses me off, but it also blows my mind. So yeah, I don't know. There's the laziness that shit is going to create is going to piss me off, but it will continue to fascinate me as well.
Hey man, I don't have a strong opinion here. That's why I talk about it to people, especially other tattooers, because I'm just watching and absorbing and having emotions, and I don't know what to do with it all.
Yeah.
I have contemplated it a lot, and not just in the context of tattooing, the world, of course, but for tattooing, it's going to change everything. It already has to some degree. The artist's ability to sit down and, it's not just futuristic drawings either, because somebody the other day was like, oh, Aaron, not everyone's going to be tattooing like crazy 3 or 16-eyed face portrait looking, surreal, video game looking tattoos. And I was like, oh yeah? I pulled out this little program I got and I put traditional panther.
Yeah.
Dope as fuck.
Yeah.
Then I hit another button, add angles. Did like a cubist version. Then I was like, oh, I mean, by the end of this 3 minutes, I had like 19 rad tattooable designs. 3 minutes. I'm like, well, Aaron.
See, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it does it.
But I haven't
You just got to
ventured into
enter, one of your keywords has to be like traditional tattoo aesthetic.
Okay.
And then boom, everything goes from like a video game looking drawing to like old school Sailor Jerry, but like with a little different, like haven't quite seen it like that before.
Yeah.
And these things are only getting better at light speed.
Yeah.
So, the need for an illustrator, you still need a tattooer. You still need someone who can compose on a human body. And then of course you still need a technician. You got to know how that fucking machine works. You got to know how to put ink. You got to be efficient. You got to treat your client. There's all this human shit that still has to happen. Yeah. And that will still be a gateway. Like if you can't figure that out, bye-bye, we go, they stay. But I believe the creative illustration part of tattooing is going to become non-necessary. Now, you can still do it your way.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
But just remove that from the fucking equation.
Yeah. Suddenly you've got all this time to do everything else.
Yeah, that. And I don't know what that means. I don't know. I honestly, I'm not personal about this. It just is what it is. This stuff's happening. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and, but it's happening and it's very interesting.
It's definitely interesting. But I think, if you're going to drink the Kool-Aid and go as far as allowing something to illustrate what you're doing and what you're going to apply to someone's skin in all the other, if you're still the front of house guy who says hello to the customer and you're still applying the stuff, I think you're going to get shittier at tattooing because I think there's part of the drawing process that's applied to the tattooing process. You've got that muscle memory, like when I draw something and I've kind of, roughed it up a few times and then I finalize the drawing. When I tattoo it, it feels like I'm redrawing the same thing that I've drawn over and over again. It doesn't feel like I'm figuring it out as I go. If I pulled, went out there and pulled one of your flash pieces off the wall that I'd never seen before and made a stencil and put it on the skin, I'd feel like I was figuring it out as I did the tattoo,
There's a ton of guys out there, though, that are guys that are so good.
Probably,
at just looking whatever's on their iPad.
Yeah.
And it happens on skin.
Yeah.
They're just map followers.
Totally.
I mean, I'm not so good at that either, to be honest. Like, fuck, when I tattoo, I hardly follow my stencil. Yeah. I'm just like,
but then you would lose the stylistic nature of, your individuality, the thing that you bring.
Now you're getting more close to where I agree with you is, there's a factor here. Let's call it the human soul.
Totally.
I think it exists.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. You got to make a mistake here and there that you got to fix on the spot. Makes the tattoo 10 times better than it was in the first place.
Or flow in a way that the picture isn't showing.
Totally.
How many times during a tattoo where the concept is there, you already created it, and you're going around the elbow, and you're like, that ain't working anymore.
Yeah.
Like we got to, and on the fly, you just start adjusting all the time. And that will still be there. And hey, look, I it's not the end. It's just, I do think many, many, many more people will have access to this industry. Definitely. Because of when you remove the illustration part, the floodgates fucking open.
Totally. Well, that's going back to, the tattoo schools. As soon as you can go and pay to do a course and get taught the tools of the trade, you don't need to be an artist anymore. You just have to be able to copy something from a picture.
Yeah.
The rest is knowing the trade, I guess. So yeah, the floodgates will open, I think. And I'll just get more pissed off. No, but it's a frustrating thing to watch. People just come in and go, "There's my ticket. I'm just gonna do it."
Yeah,
and you go, "Fuck! I put so much into this."
Yep. Yeah, I hear you, man. And we'll see how the scales go here because. It's hot as fire right now. Everybody's accepting of anything made digitally, and it's very magical. It's very new. It's very novel. And I don't know how many years this takes, but I do get the sneaky suspicion 10 years, 20 years, handmade crafts are going to be like 10x in value what they are today. Like that'll be like the thing you actually pay real money for.
Yeah. I know.
Like I could see a shop in the future where you advertise like There is no computers in here.
Yeah.
There is no, we actually, everything, we have
Human
paper,
made.
we're
Yeah.
making, and then suddenly
Yeah.
you got these super fans that are like going to get that stuff, 'cause
Absolutely.
they want that authentic human interaction experience, like from one soul to their soul.
Yeah. I agree.
So there could be a tipping point to it all. But I do think we're not near that right now. We're going through this ecstatic celebration.
Well, it's all new, right? So
It's so new.
everyone's-
Yeah.
And even this, talking about what we think might happen, that's hypothetical.
Who fucking
Really?
knows?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I think, by the way, I'm lapping you. So
Okay,
let's
let's
get it together. You're an Australian. This is embarrassing for your country. You guys are known to be fucking hardcore as fuck. Boom. Look at that. You didn't even hesitate.
I need to rinse that. Look at that fucking thing. I won't rinse it. That's all
I'm
right.
going to the Mexican lager from Harlan Brewing.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Mexican beer in general. In fact, I'm leaving for Mexico on Monday. I'm driving the entire length of Baja
That's sick.
in
I
a
did
truck
Baja.
with my neighbor pulling a boat.
Wow.
Everybody wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck.
If you know any people down there, pull some strings. I don't want to die. I'm kidding.
I did
love
Baja, hitchhiking and busing and years ago, actually, when I was in San
you
Diego.
did some time down there surfing.
Yeah. So I did the west coast, well, most of the west coast of Mexico surfing.
Yeah, that's where all the surfing is.
Yeah, and then came up, got the ferry across the Baja, then came up Baja.
Have you
into
been
San Diego.
to Todos Santos?
No, I don't
It's a
think I
very
have.
famous monster fucking break.
Oh, really?
Oh man, when it goes off, it's big. It's what are you gonna go with there? It's hard choices, man. Don't fuck it up.
The Blondie.
You're going with we're downshifting.
Yeah. That's right. I was looking at 6%.
Funny story though. So I'm in the Coast Guard on the east side of the Baja, and I decide I've heard of this surf break, but we couldn't bring surfboards on this little ship I was on, so
Yeah.
we brought boogie boards.
Oh, yeah.
Because the captain wouldn't let us bring fucking surfboards. So we hitchhike. We get 2 days off. I'm like, we're going to Todos Santos. So we hitchhike, me and this buddy, hitchhike and then get a bus. And then the bus doesn't tell us where the stop is. And then when we finally figure out we're way past Todos Santos, he just like pulls over and he's like, get the fuck off the bus. We're in the middle of the desert. I'm like, then we hitch, another guy picks us up, brings us back to Todos Santos. Then we get to Todos Santos and they're like, no, it's 2 miles up there is where the break is. So we walk that. I mean, this is a whole thing.
Yeah.
Finally get there.
Yeah.
Have no idea. We don't have iPhones. We don't know what the swell is. Nothing. I come around the top of the beach there. I'm not kidding you, dude. Triple overhead. It's fucking massive. Even I'm just like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with this? There's like, Volkswagen vans. A few. I'm sure these dudes are these guys are gnarly. No one's even out.
Yeah.
And of course we walk up with 2 boogie boards in our fins, and they're from no car, and the whole beach is like, what the fuck are these guys doing here? And we went out.
We were on boogie boards, right?
We went out.
Yeah, that's all right.
And then some beaches, how when they crash and they come in, and then they do a second crash on the beach.
Yeah.
That second crash on the sand was like head high. So anyway, we get out there. I see a set coming, and I'm terrified. I never kicked my little feet so hard in my life. I barely crashed that last wave.
Oh man!
And now we're out, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm safe kind of, but I'm like, we got to go back in there somehow.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
anyway, my buddy Bob, another set comes through, medium. He's like, I'm just taking it, dude. Boom, Bob's gone.
And then you're by
have the
yourself.
balls. So now I'm out there all alone. I'm looking at it and watching. There's Bob, way on the little man on the beach, just waving like he's in somehow. I'm like, oh man, my turn. So I ended up grabbing one, made it down the face, big fucking crash. I must have been on that beach for 20 minutes trying to time that landing. Got in okay, didn't break my neck. So we went out, we both caught one wave, got to the beach, grabbed our little boogie boards and walked past all the pro surfers again. And it was the most embarrassing day of my life, I think.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that's terrifying, man. I've been out a few times when the waves have been way too big for me. And that point where you paddle out and there's a set in front of you breaking just so it's going to break from me to you away, or it's going to land and you're like, I'm fucked.
I'm fucked.
Completely fucked. And then you spend the next hour like in the washing machine trying to paddle through all the whitewash and all the swell, and man, it's the worst.
It's
terrifying.
It's scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
terror. It's very scary. Well, yeah. So you spent some time down in Baja, and Baja is beautiful and awesome, and
Yeah,
it
wild
really,
country.
knock on wood, it isn't. The people down there are the most friendly people I've ever met, and I'm really looking forward to this trip. So it'll be fun. I've always gone to this place on the Baja or whatever. We're going to drive the whole distance, so it'll be fun to see it,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Have you been to Sayulita? You would have been there, right? Just north of, is it Puerto Vallarta?
Oh yeah, Sayulita.
Sayulita.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
been there twice.
Okay.
That town's bitching.
That's beautiful. Yeah, we went there, and this is 20 years ago on our trip down. And I remember saying to my mates, I am going to move here one day. I swear to you, this is where I'm going to end up and live. I haven't been since.
You meet a lot of guys
20
you
years.
could tell made that decision there.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that place is amazing. I mean, again, I saw it 20 years ago. I think it's pretty different now, but
Last time I was there was probably 5 years ago. It's still quaint and beautiful little Mexican village, and
yeah.
a little touristy.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
pretty busy when I was there.
Yeah.
But
So when we were there was a few, like it was a bit touristy, but it was almost like it had maybe not just been discovered, but it was not, we weren't the only, Australians or Americans there, but there wasn't many.
it's a little different now.
Yeah, okay.
That's cool that you've done that much time in Baja. I love that place, and it's cool to live so close to it here in San Diego. Most
Yeah,
San
yeah.
Diegans, you talk to them about Baja nowadays, and they're just like, they feel like you're going to like a war zone. Like, yeah, you go down there, which makes
Really?
it even cooler, kind of.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah,
okay.
I'm going down there.
Yeah. Wow. Is it that sketchy?
Again, I don't think so. I mean, the news, we hear about everything now instantly. I mean, to be fair, there were some surfers. I don't know if you heard this story.
They were from Australia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everyone's on high alert right
Yeah,
now.
there were a couple of tattooers. Actually, there was one girl who's guested with us who was, I think they were quite close friends with her. And she instantly put the thing up about them missing and asking people to share them. And
And they killed them.
yeah, full on.
But hey, to be fair, they were killed by drug addicts.
Okay,
They weren't killed by the cartel.
right.
They were just, it could happen here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you could be camping on a beach in California somewhere.
Okay.
Some tweakers show up. They want the rims off your car,
Gotcha.
and something goes bad. That's what happened.
Yeah, right.
They just wanted some way to make money to go buy drugs.
Gotcha.
And I did hear, I think it's pretty established that they fought back, I think, too. And these guys had guns, and I think it was 2 guys and a girl, and they killed those guys, man, which is sad as fuck. And I don't think that is what Baja is. I think there's random, it's like lightning striking.
Oh, man.
Shit happens, man.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we hear about shootings here in America, and I think even coming over here, it was like, you have it in the back of your head that this happens. People own guns here. In Australia, they don't. I mean, they own them, but they don't. It's not like you can't buy a gun in a shop ever.
I didn't know
You've
that.
got to be fully licensed. They've got to be locked in a safe that's in some part of your house that is inaccessible to anyone but you. And I mean, I don't know if it's that far, but it's you will only own a gun if it's for hunting purposes, and if you're part of I think rifle club or something. But you don't.
So that's a good
don't
law,
carry
because
guns.
then normal people can't have them, but all the criminals can.
Well,
and do.
Yeah.
I'm kind of being a shithead right now.
Yeah, sort of. But it's not like we don't have, people walking around shooting masses of people ever. It happened. It has happened, but it's massively rare. There's gun violence in gangs and, biker war, turf violence and all that sort of stuff. But random people killing random people, it's not common.
Well, what can I say to this? There's a part of me that was drilled into me as a young American male by my father. And I mean, hey, look, our right to bear arms.
Totally.
It's in our Constitution.
Yeah.
And they are very clear to tell you why.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if we don't all have guns, at some point, the government can just tell us what to do. So we all need guns. I own guns. My family owns a lot of guns. I only have a couple guns. Just, I'm not crazy about it. But
yeah.
that law still makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think I do support it. But it's challenging to hear you say that because, I guess there's probably stats on this, but there's a lot more gun violence in America than there is in Australia.
Yeah.
And so that law,
Well, and there used to be in Australia, I mean, I don't know if there was as much as America, but I know that there was a point where guns were basically taken off everyone, and because it used to be similar. The laws used to be similar, and they were taken off everyone, and mass incinerations of these guns and all this stuff. And then since then, the gun violence kind of went down, and then now it's rare. Yeah.
But do you worry a little that might be like a setup for what they got planned next? I'm going down the rabbit hole, everybody. I'm going Alex Jones on this episode.
Yeah. No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No.
Hey, look, I'm down for anything that makes any place safer, what's healthiest for the citizens.
Oh, look,
and everybody
I think here
as a whole.
it's massively, it's so part of, this country and it has been obviously forever. It would be hard to turn that around and for everyone to agree that it would be the right
tough one.
Yeah, I don't
You
think
try to take Americans' guns away.
You try to take
It's
anything
going to be
away.
a rough year.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's my right.
Oh, and they're gonna fight for that right.
Yeah.
You know, cool, man, cool. Well, look, this has been fun. I've been told the attention span of most people nowadays is a little bit on the shorter side. I could do this for another 3 hours personally,
Sure.
but let's wrap it up.
Cool.
I do want to know a couple more things.
Okay.
Maybe there's something, maybe there's nothing. What's next for you?
I don't know.
I mean, you got your shit together. I can feel the vibe. What's your 10-year plan?
Oh man, don't ask me that. I don't know. 10-year plan personally.
Yeah.
It's the Australian dream, Buy a nice house and settle down. No, I mean that's part of it. It's hard. Sydney is as I'm sure and as I've heard it is here. It's an expensive place, and it's forever getting more and more expensive. And the idea of look, tattooing. I love tattooing. I want to tattoo till I die. It's the idea of ever retiring from doing tattoos scares the shit out of me. But in terms of, where I want to take my life and my family and all that sort of stuff, who at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's about for me. I don't know. It's sort of hard to say what the 10-year plan is because it's unwritten. At the moment, it's in the air. Life is expensive. Life is hard. Things are hard.
The plan is to keep grinding.
Keep grinding.
And
keep pushing.
Keep pushing your own personal art.
Yeah.
Keep pushing the shops.
Absolutely.
Keep growing your brand.
Yeah, look,
you prosper. The people that are with you in your shops, they prosper.
Totally.
And with enough luck, everyone's doing well in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, on an artistic level, yeah. I mean, pushing is number one. And the shops, I mean, we've got a great crew of guys and girls, all of which do incredible work. The idea of our shops as a whole is to kind of, make all of us better. And we have this idea to bring people on and help them, have them help us and inspire each other to create something better than it was. And, that's forever the goal artistically with Lighthouse. We're kind of, that's what we're about. We want to make people, we all want to be better,
That's beautiful.
Artistically and yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, that mantra, that statement, man, if everybody carried that to work every day, what a great world it would be, like let's all get together and inspire each other and help each other.
Well, that's the that's the grassroots of the idea of it all. That's what we hope for.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it does, and it is. And, people do get better. They come on and we all kind of get together and we, help each other out and everyone's open and we all want to share and everyone's, asking advice to each other and how does this look? And we all do it. And it's a good collective. And I feel like that if we can keep pushing that, everyone's going to get better and everyone's going to,
I think the only thing you got to add to that is you need a very talented AI specialist.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully, our new AI manager will start creating all the designs for us and we can all concentrate on just drinking these beers.
Oh my God. You're joking a little, but an AI manager, we're not far from that.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. Imagine walking in and you open your computer screen and there's a little beautiful human that isn't real, that has got all the books sorted out for everybody. Yeah. It's got all the accounting done. It's just all happening like, and you just talk to it and it just handles it.
Imagine that.
5 years, dude.
Okay.
It's coming.
It's coming.
And it's going to bring a lot of benefits.
Mm.
I don't want to get into the dark side on this episode. It's been too full of light to do that. Very cool. Where can people find you?
Well,
Just throw out some handles. Where is it Insta, websites?
Yeah, look, Instagram's the most updated and regular thing to find me. It's at Ryan Ussher, RyanUsSher. That's the most regularly updated platform that I use. Website, ushertattoos.com. But, I mean, that's, I feel like websites are almost obsolete these days. I mean, but you use them, but I never go to a website unless I'm looking at
I don't either, but my people tell me a lot of people come to our website. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a contact form on my website. People click my link and go to that, and that's
how you book an appointment with
pretty
you?
much, yeah. Or send me an email, but all that information.
If somebody wants to get tattooed by you, I mean, can they get in?
The wait time it's pretty long at the moment. I think it's 2026, maybe almost mid-year.
So 2.5, you're 2 years out.
About 2 years, about. But there are openings here and there, especially for I don't just do large-scale tattoos. So smaller stuff I can generally fit in somewhere in between it all. And obviously there are cancellations and all that sort of stuff too. So that it isn't necessarily always a 2-year wait.
I get that.
But
yeah, big projects. Maybe you got to get in line.
Yeah.
I get that. Well, good for you, man. You're busy. You're killing it. Your work's beautiful. Much respect to you and what you've created at Lighthouse.
I appreciate it.
And of course, thank you so much for making time for this show today.
Man,
I really appreciate that.
It's been unreal.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, man.
I said man, but I should have said mate.
Mate, yeah. Cheers, mate.
I love the way you guys talk.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, Bonza.
It's like I feel like Australians are just a little cooler than Americans. I do.
Yeah, well, we feel the other way because we see you all in movies, So it's, you grow up.
It's not true. You guys are cooler.
Oh, I realize that.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Hey, look, thanks for tuning in. By the way, I don't know if anyone noticed all this fantastic beer we've been drinking today has been drank out of a Sullen Art Collective pint glass. If you guys love art, like the art that this man does, the art I do, and you want to see it on your favorite apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, check them out, sullenclothing.com. Ryan and Jeremy, huge supporters of the tattoo industry. And I say that a lot, but you guys need to realize these guys actually give a shit about this industry. They care deeply. They're great human beings. Please check them out. And keep the likes, subscriptions, love coming. And we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.